It's Friday, the 7th of June, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, we have 5 big stories to race through in 5 minutes, so let's get cracking. Story number 1, the banking sector is booming, with the Commonwealth Bank hitting a new all-time high yesterday, its share price reaching $125.97.
It's now jumped 30% over the past year, and Commonwealth Bank isn't even the best performer of the big 4 banks over the last 12 months. National Australia Bank's up 38%. It's trading close to 9-year highs. Westpac's up 35%. It isn't far off 5-year highs, and ANZ's up 28%, near 7-year highs. That's despite net interest margins, which is a proxy for profit margins, the difference between what a bank receives on loans and pays out on deposits, getting smaller. It also comes as loan arrears, customers who are falling behind in payments, they're rising slightly. It comes as the banks, on a historical perspective, are already very, very expensive. And it comes as the economy slows, which should affect business and personal lending. In fact, banking analysts have sell recommendations on the major banks and have had for a while, but they keep performing.
Sean, you've just given us a bunch of reasons as to why this shouldn't happen. So why is it happening?
Well, it's not really clear is the short answer. All sorts of theories around the place. All the banks, particularly Commonwealth Bank with its 900,000 shareholders, have many retail investors. They like the dividends. They don't want to sell in case they get hit with a big capital gain. There's also been buying of bank stocks from offshore investors, such as pension funds. If they're passive investors, then they need to buy all the bank shares so that they can keep up with the ASX. Also, money in Asia fleeing China could end up in Australia. That's likely to have helped Commonwealth Bank in particular. In short, there's no great answer to why the banks are still doing so well. They just are.
On to story number 2 now, Sean. Nvidia's share price surged yesterday, and the chip maker is now worth $3.01 trillion US, surpassing Apple as the second largest company on Wall Street.
Yep. Apple also rallied. It's worth $3 trillion US. Microsoft is the largest company, worth $3.15 trillion US. Hard to get your mind around these numbers. The last time Nvidia was worth more than Apple was 2002, 5 years before the first iPhone was released, according to Bloomberg. At the time, both companies were worth less than $10 billion US each. We're now talking $3 trillion US. Nvidia's stock has jumped nearly 200% since late last year. One person really happy about it is CEO Jensen Huang. He owns a bunch of stock. It's worth about $107 billion now.
Story number 3, Sean. The Retail and Fast Food Workers Union has launched a landmark case to abolish junior rates for more than 500,000 workers aged 18 years and older.
The Shop Distributive and Allied Employees Association has filed a Fair Work Commission case to ensure workers 18 and over in retail, fast food and pharmacy are paid the full 21-year-old rate. The case, invoking award objectives to maintain the living standards of the low-paid and work value reasons, is expected to be very hotly contested by employers who argue that increasing junior rates will simply deter hiring. Under the retail, fast food and pharmacy rates, an 18-year-old is paid 70% of the adult wage. 19-year-old gets 80%. Now, the union says it just doesn't make sense. It also is arguing that young people in Australia face the same cost of living pressures as others in the country, but they're discriminated against when it comes to their wages. For workers younger than 18, the Shop Distributive and Allied Employees Association wants to raise their rates. 16-year-olds should get 50% rather than 45% of the full adult rate. 17-year-olds should go from 60 to 75%. It's going to be great fun watching this one.
It certainly will. Story number 4, the administrators of collapsed low-cost carrier Bonza have conceded the hopes of finding a buyer for the airline are fading ahead of today's deadline to sell the business.
Instead, they're more likely to pursue a claim against Bonza's insurers. Hall Chadwick's Richard Albaran told a confidential meeting of creditors yesterday that he now considered a sale unlikely. He expects the jobs of airline staff are likely to be permanently terminated early next week after being suspended in late April, according to the Fin Review. Early last month, Hall Chadwick said parties had expressed interest in buying Bonza, telling a meeting of creditors that the budget carrier owes more than $100 million.
Last one, story number 5. How about this, Sean? Former US President Donald Trump posted his first video to TikTok on the weekend, and he's already amassed more followers and more likes than President Joe Biden's campaign account.
Ouch. No politician has used social media better than Donald Trump, and his first post, which showed him standing next to Ultimate Fighting Championship Chief Executive Officer Dana White, has garnered 5.9 million likes, and his account has 5.6 million followers after 4 days. Biden's campaign account, which has been going for quite a few months now, it's got 361,000 followers and 4.7 million likes. Trump tried to ban TikTok while in office, but has since come out in support of it. Now, TikTok still faces a possible ban in the US if its Chinese parent company ByteDance doesn't divest its ownership stake by the beginning of next year or by January 19 next year. Anyway, Donald Trump knows how to use social media.
He certainly does. There we go, the top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It is Friday, the 7th of June, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. And if 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed wherever you listen to podcasts. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.